Yes, savages, I hope that you are well, even the trolls. We was at VCO and I saw John from MBR. MBR is the puppy torturing facility in Huntingdon, where they breed beagles to test on them. Evil place. So John, I've spoke to you a few times and I want to come down and do a video and draw attention to this hello, to which John replied basically, everyone's full of shit basically. 3 days later, we're on the way to MBR to do a video, and I know that they're reaching a lot of people, and who knows, it might lead to something else, if you know what I mean. So yeah, let's go.
For me, it took a dog to die in my arms. Seeds have been planted in my head, and you'd think the rational brain, I should have understood the information that was coming in, but it took a heartbreaking incident, because I'm not a robot. So you can give people facts, you can give them the stuff, and if the conditions ain't right at that time, but that's not to say don't give it them, but it's like, you know, when you sow a seed, you know, it's got its time to come up. So don't get too frustrated with people who don't get it. Just keep at it. I came back to England to find the animal liberation movement, and this was at the end of 1983, and it was a time when I'd say when the animal liberation movement was beginning to really peak. So I joined an up and ready, really dynamic movement, you know. So I didn't have to invent new techniques, new methods. I was in at the deep end, and I loved it, you know. But you will not, if I painted a picture, you'd think I'm exaggerating. I said about in my speech at Vegan Camp Out, when I was at Vegan Camp Out and I was looking around, but I am not saying here, I'm not going to play some nice music for our fake militants that they're going to go, oh yeah, come on. I'm not talking here. I am not encouraging you to go out and break butchers' windows. I am not encouraging, from what I'm about to say.
I am.
Well, crack on. I'm not encouraging you to burn slaughterhouse trucks. Like I said, you crack on and do it. As soon as I'm not doing it, I'm not a fucking general in the trenches that's sending other people to do it. But I was involved in that back in the day. But I was looking around at Vegan Camper. Emily Pankhurst, a famous quote from her, I'll quote it out. She said, talking of Emily Pankhurst, you talk about the history of the movement going back to the 80s. Look at these photographs here, folks. A lot of these people you can see in these, like, this is the start of the 20th century. There's a statue they erected in 1906. And on that plaque, it reads, men and women of England, how long shall these things be? This brown dog had been tortured. There was an undercover investigation. You know, things come around in cycles. But look at the costumes on these people. It's like, start of the 20th century. How long have these things gone on, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, I joined an up and ready movement. We never thought, the animal liberation people, we never thought there'd be as many vegans as there turned out to be. Our thing was to shut down the meat industry. We thought we'd shut more meat companies down. But I was looking around the crowd, and my thought was, this would not be happening today if back in the day people hadn't smashed butchers' windows and burnt slaughterhouse trucks. This would not be here. You cannot say, I'm not saying that that's the only thing that made this happen. Of course not. All the vegan outreach. When we fucking talk about vegan outreach, you don't know how lucky you've got it. Imagine doing it back in the day when there were no such thing.
You've been here 4 years now. What reaction have you had off the locals?
Not bad. Good in terms of, like, we got lots of beeps, we got lots of support, people drop in, like we need water and stuff like that. So good, we get a good level of local support, but we're not overwhelmed by local support, and I know the reason for that.
What's that?
It's a taboo subject in this area. You've got a massive laboratory 5 miles up the road from here. That's this region's biggest employer. It employs over 1,000 people. It's like a car factory when that comes out. Here, 15 cars come out. There, the cars come out from like 4 o'clock. They're still coming out at 6 o'clock. As we speak now, there's like over 70,000 animals in that laboratory, just 5 miles from here. So they've employed a lot of people.
Wow.
There used to be other animal testing facilities around here. So traditionally, it's like an unspoken taboo. No one knew about this place was here, but they kind of didn't want to know either. So we're grateful the amount of support we get. But we get support from around the world. You asked me about the early days. We've always had the naysayers. We've always had that, don't just sit there drinking tea. What are you doing here in your tents? The dogs are still suffering. You haven't helped them. But once upon a time, whoever noticed them, they'd have to get out of their bedroom. We used to have face-to-face meetings and things. They'd have to come to an actual physical event to be known. Now they do it all from their bedroom. I'm the greatest vegan in the village or whatever.
Doing absolutely nothing.
And I tend to be those, it's like their dogs that bark. I love the doers. If you're doing something...
The people who are doing stuff, they've got no time to speak of others, ill of others.
And be proud and don't obsess yourself about other people's projects. You know what I mean? You're not doing it like the best way. Whatever, do you? Don't think. I believe zombification has taken part since then, not only within the animal liberation movement, but more importantly within the rest of society. So something that's seen as radical today, I can't begin to tell you. The whole movement was behind the illegal direct action, you know, but maybe you can't get your way to total liberation by just keep smashing. There comes a limit where the really hard work is what people probably watching this do. Education, awareness, that's a crucial part of it. But that direct action side, that shock, I'm not saying, by the way, it's part of history and it's gone. It appears to be dwindling. It appears to be something that belongs in our past because it's not happening. And please, I refuse to do some sexy speech reaching out to people in balaclavas in their bedrooms. We've got to do more direct action. If you want more direct action, if anyone out there wants more direct action to get done, I'll tell you the only effective way, it's not from making a post telling other people to do it. It's go yourself and do something. And if what you're doing is so effective, so great, other people will notice it. And because it's so great, they'll try and emulate it.
And while he's on that note, Mel and Steve set up Project Livestream, which was, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks back or something. They've gone from X amount of views we've on their own to 6 people to now 22 people with over 100,000 views, and that number is expected to increase to a lot more over the next few weeks. So it's inspiring change, it's inspiring activists.
Because, like I said, once upon a time, someone said to me, anyone said to me they're a vegan, I love you, because the only vegans in the world was fucking animal rights people, and we didn't have all these trolls and idiots that you got now. So I was able to form an instant bond. You talked to me before about, I don't know how we got onto it.
I mentioned people mentioning the wars and all these other things.
On my personal post, I think, and I will say it, a picture of a man behind you, Barry Horn, who died on hunger strike in prison, for fuck's sake, over 20 years ago. I spoke at that man's funeral. Barry had a go at me when I took over the SG, and I wrote an editorial about building bridges with other groups. Barry, the man who is at the front, when the National Front, when the racists, Barry's like a trade unionist, a good old sort of, you know, he was involved in loads of social issues. But when he was doing his animal liberation stuff, he didn't have to he didn't feel any need whatsoever to explain why today he was why today he was doing hunt subbing. I'm doing this on behalf of all injustice. No, you're doing hunt subbing to save a fox. And Barry, so here's a man who, by his nature, I suppose you might call him he'd have laughed if he'd called me, Barry, do you realise you're an intersectionalist? What the fuck's that?
Barry, the reason I brought it up was because there's just too many people having a pop at others for not doing this, not doing that. Why are you focusing on that? Everyone has got the piece to the puzzle. Everyone's got their piece to the puzzle, and that's the reason I brought it up again. So cheers, John.
Not everyone's got their piece to the puzzle.
Some people ain't got no piece.
Some people just gonna point the finger. That's wrong, not like that, like this. They haven't got a piece. They haven't got a piece to put in the puzzle. All they've got is that, not like that, like this, not like that. Look, they put the wrong piece.
Before you speak, get a piece.
Do something and say, I do this and this works. I've got a theory. That's no. I did this and I done that and it saved some lives. And then I'm going to go, it what? It saved some lives. All right, let's talk about it then.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Are you done something? Animal rights groups. It wasn't a vegan group. Your animal rights, loads of people in your animal rights group used to be vegan. But it was the people who run the pigeon rescue. It was the people who did the cat rescue. It was the people who did the dog rescue. Let me tell you something now. I know hundreds and hundreds of people in my time that have gone to prison for animal rights activities. Hundreds. Hundreds. I didn't know all of them, but you end up, you know, like banjo playing sort of in communities. You know each other. But not, you know the idea now, it breaks my heart. I see posts on social media that picture balaclava people. Did you know there's an organisation called the Animal Liberation Front that rescues animals? It not only breaks my heart, it makes me sick. Most people want to puke when I see those posts. Those people are you. Who do you think the ALF used to be? It used to be the cat rescuers and the dog rescuers and the people that did the stall about vegetarianism. That's what they were doing the day. In night time, they were smashing butchers' windows.